Hello and welcome back to Gary's Garage at a very windy Blyton Park. So I'm here today at Blyton Park with a track day with Trackday Solutions. So the plan is to get the Anglia out on track and not potentially go for, full speed and full power all the time, but just to shake it down, learn how the car handles in a nice, safe environment. So I'm going to head on out in a minute. It's just started here. We've done the briefing and a couple of quick sighting laps to roughly show me the direction of the course. This is a bit odd for racetracks in that it goes anti-clockwise rather than clockwise, so that'll be interesting. So yeah, let's get on and hopefully nothing breaks. So yeah, that lasted a long time. I was on my second lap, and I really wasn't pushing it around the corners because I know it's a bit sketchy and I know there's lots of power, and I just started to put on the throttle really gently and it just went and it didn't stop and it went crunch. So as you can probably see from the floor, there is some coolant leaking, so I'm going to pull the bonnet off and let's see what the damage is and inspect it a bit closer.
Chains.
I thought I did those. Oh, cable, electrics.
Yeah.
Hold that side.
Yep.
Not like I need to worry about it. There we go. Now it can. Let's stick it over here. Down that way.
That one's gone there. That one's gone there. The whole thing's been pushed over.
So, nice new charge cooler radiator is nicely dented, although I don't think that's leaking, but it is very misshapen. That hose there potentially has been punched on there. Obviously all the brackets have come across, everything's shifted to the left. Possibly it's been pushed back as well, so we'll get in and see what the damage is. Try to move some things out of the way to see what's where and where that coolant's leaking. It's blue, so that means that it is definitely engine coolant, not charge cooler, because the charge cooler I did in pink, so that I know the difference between them. So yeah, let's get in and see where the issues is. Right, so let's see what the damage is. So the pretty obvious thing is obviously that the radiator there, charge cooler radiator, is very bent up. That's from where the bumper hit it. Down here you can see that that's all bent over and folded over. That should be straight. And if you look in there, you can see where that charge cooler reservoir has hit the radiator, and down from the top again you can see some kind of bending. This support bar here is all bent up, and the main thing really that I've noticed is that this bit of box section here that I believe was dead straight now very much has a curve on it. The turbo there is touching the inner arch, which it definitely was not before, and the main thing that really kind of clued me into the fact that things have moved is, remember how I went very specifically about how I wanted to get the oil filler cap off? Well, that is now touching the charge cooler just up in there. So yeah, that has all definitely moved. And yeah, obviously the air filter's just all bashed up. You can kind of hopefully see some of the curve on this that used to be straight. And yeah, lovely shot across a very bent up charge cooler radiator. And obviously all the brackets on the bottom, the bumper and front panel obviously is just, well, yeah, shattered. And this bracket here has been pushed across and is bent, so that's out of alignment. So I reckon that pretty much the whole front end has shifted across by maybe a centimetre or so. What I'm going to do as well is I have the Hunter just over there, so I will hook the Hunter up to it because I've got the figures from all the suspension from when I set it up just a couple of months ago, and compare and see what of the suspension has moved. I reckon that the front end will be quite a way off, and I still really don't know what happened. So there we go, there's a brief look at the damage. I have had a very quick look at the data log from the ECU, and what seemed like it happened is I came round the corner and just put a little bit of power on. I was doing 30 at the entrance, or as I came round the corner, and I was heading for the exit, and I think possibly there was a car coming up. I could see before I entered the corner that there was a car coming up behind me, and I wanted to get sort of over to the side in order to exit the track. So I just, what I thought was gently squeezed on the throttle, 25% throttle, ended up at the engine. It boosted up, as it does very easily at low speed, low RPM, up to about 0.4 bar boost, which introduced slip in the rear wheels, potentially because the car was leaning. And you know, one wheel, the inner wheel probably didn't have much grip at all because all the weight would be on the outside wheel. Then possibly the limited slip diff detecting that slip sent the power to the wheel that did have grip, which potentially then was like really loaded by me going round the corner. Then it slipped because of the power that went to it, and that just lost the traction. I honestly don't know though. So all I've got really is that very kind of blurry footage that that Steve was taking. He was still trying to figure out the focus. He was going to use the first few laps to sort of get his eye in with the camera and figure out what he needs to do with focus. Obviously, I binned it before he really figured that one out. So there we go. I am just pretty disheartened with it at the moment. I just want to pretty much just leave it here and abandon it for a while. I will at some point get the Hunter on it and look at what
what's happened to the suspension, if anything. I suspect that the whole front has shifted a bit. I have been talking to a friend who knows somebody who rejigs cars after accidents, so I might have a chat with him and see, you know, what the damage might be, and what prep work I might need to do in order to get it, you know, rejigged and straightened out. You know, I think everything from the kind of bulkhead backwards is just fine. I think it is literally just this front bit, sort of from the strut tops forwards, where it's only really supported down by the bulkhead, and everything else is potential to move left and right. And I think what happened is the shunt just nudged it all across. But I will definitely be needing new radiators. It looks like from a first glance my tanks here are okay, because they were a pain to make. I really do not want to be remaking those, but I may well have to. And it's just going to be a case of assessing the damage as and when I have the motivation to do so. As you can probably imagine, yeah, it's just really knocked all the motivation out of me, especially as I thought that I'd basically finished this one for the moment, and I could move on to looking at the Legnum. So yeah, either I'm going to be back on this one again, fixing it, or I'm just going to park it up, leave it, and work on the Legnum instead. I will go away and think about it for a few days, so I will do another video at some point in the next couple of weeks, and that will be, I'll let you know the outcome of getting the Hunter on it, and I might have made a decision what I'm going to do about it then. And I say I may well have spoken to this person about getting it on a jig, and who knows, I might get the motivation to put it back together nice and quickly, or I might not. Yeah. There we go, Friday the 13th. Yeah, maybe not the best of days to decide to do my very first track day in it. So yeah, there we go. But there is the risk every time you take a car onto a track that you could end up damaging it, and it is a risk that you have to willingly take. You always hope that you are not going to crash it when you take it on a track, but sometimes you do, and it was unfortunate that it happened so early in the day. I think that's the frustrating thing, really, is it was so early in the day. It was, as I said, my second lap. I had identified that the car was leaning in the corners, and I was coming in to stiffen up the damping on the suspension so that it had a bit less, you know, it was stiffer and wouldn't hopefully lean as much. I was going to stiffen it up a bit, go out, do another lap, see how that felt. If it still was wallowing a bit, come in, stiffen it a bit more, go back out again. And that's the beauty of having an open pit lane, is that you can do that if you want to. You can use it as a brilliant proving ground to go out for a lap or two, see what it's like, come in, make a tweak, go out again, and you're not limited to sessions. You know, if it was a session track day, everybody would have to go out together, everybody would come in together. If you came in partway through the session, that was it. You had to wait until your session would start again, which is one of the reasons why I went for this track day, because it was the open session, very few cars on track. Would have been a great opportunity for me to figure out what needed tweaking on the car, and yeah, didn't really work out as expected. But these things happen. Thankfully I am okay, I'm not injured, and I suppose that's the main thing for my family and myself, really, is I'm okay. At the end of the day, it's a piece of metal, and it can probably be repaired. One way or another, it can be repaired. It may take some time, but it can be done, and I'm okay. That's the main thing. So that's what I've got to take away from it. And I suppose it gives a bit more content for the channel, and I'll obviously bring you along on the journey of repairing it and my stepdad Steve was saying on the way back home, so when you get it fixed up, are you going to take it back there? Take it back to Blyton again? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, no, you've got to. You know, you can't let it beat you. So we shall see. I maybe take it back to Blyton Park, you know, have my revenge on the circuit once I've fixed it and had a look at what's gone on, and you know, see if there's any improvements I can make. I think what I will probably do as well is try to take some more accurate measurements of the suspension, try to find some kind of online suspension calculator and see what's what. Obviously I've got the Hunter as well. What I might also do is take the springs out, so I've just got the shocks for positioning, and then just like raise and lower the car and try to like, you know, put the chassis one way or the other and just see, using the Hunter, the live readouts on it, what the suspension is doing. You know, maybe the suspension design is so bad that when it leans, you know, the rear wheels, like, I don't know, toe one way or the other, and you know, that in combination with the power, you know, causes it to be, you know, how it is. I don't know, but maybe I can do a bit more science on it. But you know, I've never built it to be the fastest car around a track. It was more of a let's try something out and let's do something and let's spend some time with my dad, and that's what it started out at. You know, it's not a track car. It's a, I mean, let's face it, it's a ridiculous car. It was never supposed to be good. It was always going to be overpowered. The chassis was always going to be too small. The wheelbase was always going to be too short. The track was never going to be wide enough. It was never going to be particularly comfortable. But it doesn't really matter. And I just need to remember that. And yeah, see how we go from there. So anyway, I think that will be enough of my rambling on. And yeah, so maybe some video in a couple of weeks' time, if I manage to get the Hunter on it and see what's up with it. And yeah, maybe even I'll do that and figure out, while I've got the Hunter there, you know, pop the springs off. Should be a fairly simple task to do. And yeah, just see how the suspension acts at different ride heights and leans and all of that, and you know, what happens under braking when the nose dips, and that might give me some more clues as well. But for the moment, I'm just going to walk away from it and just leave it parked up here in the garage for a while and kind of forget that it exists for a few days, just recompose myself, regroup, and figure out what I'm going to do. So I hope you'll join me for the next episode. Thank you very much for watching and supporting me through my trials and tribulations, the very ongoing trials and tribulations of this car. And if you enjoy the entertainment, then be sure to like, subscribe, share, etc. Feel free to share this and laugh at my expense. And if you want to, you know, help me out a little bit, feel sorry for me, then I've got my Patreon down below if you want to help me out a little bit, and I've also got a little donation on my website, so if you feel like you want to donate a little bit towards me to make me feel a little bit better, then that would be greatly appreciated. But that would be me signing off, so I'll see you next time on Garry's Garage. Bye!